Hey everybody, I'm Peter Sciarra, aka Stations Guy, and my guest on today's show is, I guess you could kind of say, a repeat guest, because I did a show a few months back, and it was called, I think it called it something like 5 Strange Records, or 5 Odd or Weird Records, something like that, and one of the records I featured in that show was this here, Love is a Drag, and one of the things that I didn't point out, the singer on here is Gene Howard, and I'm not going to go through the whole history. I covered it very extensively in that show, so if you haven't seen it, you can go back and get the whole backstory to this. But Gene Howard was the uncredited singer for many decades. No one knew that he had sung on this album. One thing that I believe I failed to point out in that show that was kind of critical was that this album was, it was a male singing love songs to another male, and Gene Howard was the singer. Well, Gene Howard was heterosexual. He was married and had kids, but he did this album anyway, and I didn't point out the fact that he was heterosexual. But that's not about what today's show is about. This is Mono. Came out in 1962 on Lace Records. The parent record label was Edison International. And I had said in that show that I had never seen a stereo version of this. And I scoured the web for quite a while, could not find one, was wondering really, did one even exist? Was it just an urban legend? And there really was no stereo version. And keep in mind, like I said, this came out in 62. Stereo was still really in its infancy then. Stereo really didn't fully catch on until the mid to late 60s. Most people in the early 60s, their hi-fi systems were mono, and they bought mono records. You could buy a stereo record and play it on a mono system, but you weren't going to take advantage of the 2-channel stereo, which is mix it down into one channel, into mono. And stereo records, I think the first sort of official commercial stereo recording came out, I believe, like around 57, 58, somewhere in there. So like I say, 1962, you didn't have a lot of people buying stereo records yet. So this already is hard to find and expensive if you get the original, because it wasn't exactly a big seller. So you can imagine the stereo version sold even less in 1962. But as I said, I scoured the web all over, and I found this guy. And you'll see on the spine also it says stereo, or I'm not sure the camera will be able to pick it up. But this is a stereo copy, and actually the front of this is so much nicer than my mono version, which has a lot of artifacts on it there. But this is really, it's got a nice sheen to it, nice color. Even the back, which is tough when you have a vinyl album with a light or a white background. It picks up all kind of marks and stains and things. So, but this is really, really a very nice example. Unfortunately, the top seam is split wide open. That's too bad. But other than that, it's really a beautiful copy. And you'll notice the original mono Lace Records. This is not white. I don't know how well the camera will pick it up, but it's kind of like a very, very light purple, or I don't know. It's not, I wouldn't say it's pink. Maybe a violet, very, very light violet. And the stereo version is more like a very dark maroon. What a maroon. And you can see there, it says stereo, and is a very dark color. But there is the original recording, the master recording was done in stereo. And Edison Records, which was the parent company of Lace, really, they were one of the early pioneers of putting out stereo. In fact, I'm just going to look up on my computer here real quick. They put out an album in 1958 that was stereo, and it was by an artist called Tak Shindo, and I'm not sure how you pronounce the title of the album, Maganga or Manga, an Exotica album, but 1958, 2-channel stereo, that was pretty wild back then. So I guess it makes sense that Edison, when they put this out, they put it out in 2-channel stereo. But the reissues, there's one on gold vinyl, which I think was put out for Record Store Day, and there's a CD. Both of those are in mono, so it's tough to find. And I just wanted to do a quick update and show you that yes, the stereo version does actually exist, and I was able to grab one. So thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, be kind to each other, and we will see you next time right here on YouTube.
Station Sky.